point of solus populi, which was essentially agreed on, it was just unquestioned until the modern world, until utilitarianism, really until the Industrial Revolution, is the phrase "the health of the people" in as it's used there doesn't just mean like biological health, although nowadays we see that it certainly includes that. It means the spiritual health. It means the condition, of the people. Spengler, speaks of like, the condition of the people being like the condition of a racehorse. Is this racehorse, fat and, eating just oats and candy all day, or is he ready to run a race? And, but if you give the horse a choice, he'll eat nothing but Hershey bars. And so you really see, to sort of summarize, the difference here, which is, the basis of my kind of philosophy of government, you see these two alternative ways of defining the purpose of state and society. And one of them is salus populi suprema lex, the condition of the people shall be the supreme law. And the other is the GDP-oriented approach, which I would call luxus populi supreme lex, which translated simply means popular luxury shall be the supreme law. And so, we've sort of conducted this experiment in luxus populi suprema lex in the 20th century, and I just don't think it fucking works. How about you guys? Do you think it works?
I think instrumentalizing and making these things measurable. There's been long-standing challenges towards making the health of people measurable.
It's not measurable. It's aesthetic. It's just not.
I know, but we have this American history, and you can maybe generalize that broadly to Western governments, but they've had a devotion and insistence upon a quantitative way of following this path as part,
yes,
dominated by that Luxus mindset.
Yeah, and the thing about, if you look at what's interesting is if you look at where that quantitative way comes from, this is sort of old philosophy of science joke about someone who gets drunk and loses his keys, and someone sees him looking for the keys, and he's only looking under where the lamppost is. And the passerby is like, "Why are you looking there?" And he's like, "Well, that's where the light is." Well, that's where the light is, but that's not necessarily where you drop your keys.
Right.
And so when you have a government that's organized in this sort of oligarchic, depersonalized sense, where people are unwilling to trust anyone or to follow anyone, or to even, say, okay, hey, Mr. Great Man, I see your aesthetic vision of what the world, can be. I'll just follow it. You basically need these ways of governing that are essentially kind of quantitative and automatic, and kind of take the power out of people's hands and put it in the hands of these formulas, right? And so there's this sort of whole tradition of, it's like if you ever read Isaac Asimov's Foundation trilogy.
Great series.
Asimov is a great series, and Asimov is a real believer in this worldview, and he comes out of this world. Those books were written in a context where everyone is trying to be Harry Seldon and sort of produce a formula for government. And what Carlyle is telling you, and what I'm going to tell you, is there's no formula. There's no, people are always, even when you basically say, I, as someone interested in politics, am interested in sort of issues rather than just who I follow, already at that point you're saying, oh, we're going to have a government that's going to governed by this automatic marketplace of ideas. We can't serve, we're free men, we're all kings at heart, we can't serve anyone, but we can serve this abstract mechanism. And so, in a sense, the problem with modern society is that people are unwilling to serve a master, and they're willing to serve a mechanism. And these mechanisms have just gone completely fucking insane. And the marketplace of ideas is just like this, sewage lagoon that's full of just nothing but blue-green algae, right? And there's no, everything you you can't even get a drink of water out of it. It's all blue-green algae. It all has the same disgusting, taste. And people are like, how do I get out of this? And the only thing they can think to do is to basically stock this disgusting sewage pond with beautiful rainbow trout. The trout just die, and now the pond stinks of dead fish as well. And it's like, no, this is not. You're barking down the wrong tree entirely here. And the reason that you're barking down this wrong tree is there's essentially a kind of Luciferian property in your mind that says, I am a king. Everyone has told you since you were 4 years old that you were a king. You're a free man. You don't have to serve anyone. And so you wind up serving these, not a person, but these deranged mechanisms. And people feel that makes them, this sort of very juvenile inability to serve and inability to follow makes them sort of freer and better, and makes them aristocrats. And if you look at the real culture, of real aristocrats, there's a phrase that I've always admired. Some people might think of this as a Nazi phrase. It's actually a Prussian army saying. I'm sure the Nazis liked it as well, which is simply that those who wish to command must first learn to obey. And if there's anything that our era is just absolutely terrible at, it's following and obeying. And the result of our inability to follow and obey human beings is that we basically follow and obey these completely deranged mechanisms. Like, oh, let's calculate how much, like Luxus Populi Suprema Lex. And I'm just like, this is a terrible, this is a terrible formula. And if you're looking for a better formula to serve, there isn't one.
Well, one thing,
and that's a serious black pill.